2015 to now. So I want to bring to your attention and listen keenly. If your battery's on its last legs, this is what you need to record. This is what you need to share. Introducing Sister Esther Stanford-Xosei. Make some African noise, people.
Okay, greetings family. Don't we look royal? Yes? And it's great that so many of you have turned out today, despite all the scaremongering, and it's been beautiful to see our brothers and sisters from around the country talk to us about the work that they have been doing, about the campaigns that they're involved in to counteract the Maangamizi, about the Maangamizi criminality that is still occurring, which is why we must continue to organize. So I'm just going to share a few brief words about the work of the Stop The Maangamizi, We Charge Genocide Ecocide Campaign. That is the campaigning part of what we do in the African Emancipation Day Reparations March Committee. They are two separate entities, but we are married. The March Committee and the Stop The Maangamizi campaign are married. And you know, like all marriages, you can have divorce, right? Sometimes it gets difficult, but we're trying to stay married because we know that we need each other and we need you. And combined between us, we are connected to each other and to all the other ones who could not be with us here today. I want to first of all acknowledge though those brothers and sisters from outside the UK who sent us solidarity messages that we wanted to play but we have not been able to play. And the first one, because what we're doing here in the UK is international. In fact, it's becoming global. And what's beautiful about the UK is that it is people-led from the grassroots up. It's not governments, it's us, the people. Because even when we have government so-called, it doesn't mean that the down-pression stops. And in fact, some of those governments that they say are ours are nothing but neo-colonial Bantustans that are preserving the borders of European coloniality and domination. Those borders in Africa that cut off indigenous African ethnicity and nationality from one another are part of the Maangamizi. When we see all these fratricidal warfare, it's because our people in a huge continent knew how to coexist, but equally when we had trouble with one another, some of us would move on and settle somewhere else. But what they did is they forced us into unnatural unions with people who have had strife, sometimes for centuries. And by the way, this is not irrespective of the strife we have with Europeans, Arabs, and anyone else. So when we're talking about the damage, that repair begins with us. And Professor Chimwezu, a great advocate around Pan-Afrikan reparations, tells us reparations, like charity, begins at home. It is because of some of the divisions and the weaknesses where we fell from our higher state that made us weak and susceptible to the machinations of others. And unless we correct those weaknesses, we will not achieve the gains that we're seeking to achieve. So very quickly, I want to acknowledge the elders and traditional leaders, paramount chiefs in Maatu Buntimitao Gafrik. We are working has the Stop The Maangamizi campaign on every continent, with allied structures led by our people all over the world. In Africa, in Abiyala, the so-called Americas, including the Caribbean, in Asia, in Oceania, in the Pacific, everywhere, and of course in Europe. That is the global reach of the campaign. And we unite with people who are doing the work, who are resisting the Maangamizi. And you know, we can stand here, and of course, we had a little bother earlier on, but for many of our brothers and sisters in Africa, in Abiyala, in Colombia in particular, one country that I will mention, where we have a network, okay? Our brothers and sisters who call themselves Afro-descendants are catching hell. They are defending lands. Many of them are just being taken out by paramilitary forces. Our brothers and sisters on the continent who are trying to stop that raping of our natural resources, our mineral and energy resources are being taken out. And many of us are not showing solidarity to those brothers and sisters who are on the front lines of this struggle. But our struggle is global, so we have to unite with them, and we have to also amplify their voices of resistance. So we had a special message that was supposed to open the evening part from Osei Aja Tekpo VII, Paramount Chief of the indigenous African community of the Kediame of Avatime in the Volta region of Ghana, co-chair of the Ma'atu Buntumitao Global African Family Reunion International Council, and also the honorary co-chair of the Green International for Planet Repairs Action Learning, GIPRAL. This year in particular, we've had so many messages and wanting to be part of this from brothers and sisters in the Caribbean who are inspired by us, inspired by you, because they see the power that we hold, because we come from all different places, but we are united here today, despite some of our differences and even our quarrels with each other. So we had a message, a special message that we will ensure we upload for you all to hear on the Reparations March UK Facebook page. We had a special message from Minister David Mohammed, the Trinidad and Eastern Caribbean representative of the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. Also the founder and director of the Black Agenda Project. And I can tell you his message was all about the work that we have to do to unify in this sacred cause of reparations. We also had a message from Brother Kwame Kamal, Southern Emancipation Day Committee of Trinidad and Tobago. We had a message from Sister Yaya Marin Coleman, chairperson of Ubad Educational Foundation, who lobbied for the Belize government to declare Emancipation a public holiday, Emancipation Day. So Belize is joining with us. And guess what? When I go in about 2 hours, I am the guest speaker for Emancipation Day in Belize. Okay? And they are following our lead. They're following our advocacy, our agenda. You know why? Because despite the fact that they supposedly have governments, the governments are not speaking for them. The governments do not include them. They say, well, there is a CARICOM reparations plan and a strategy. And the CARICOM governments, who Europe and the European governments really don't even look upon, they claim they've been writing letters saying they want a dialogue. But we don't see those letters. But yet they say they want to claim compensation on behalf of all of us. But how many of us have citizenship in the Caribbean? How many of us can vote? How many of us have had a say in what those reparations plans are? But in Europe and in the UK, you will have a say, because what we are calling for is the establishment of the UK all-party Parliamentary Commission of Inquiry for Truth and Reparatory Justice at the level of the British Parliament, because we need to do some cleaning out of that place, because it was that place, which is a Maangamizi crime scene, that legislated that our African ancestors would receive no compensation, would be actually forced to work for 8 years of apprenticeship to make up for the so-called £47 million that they said we were worth. And while they compensated themselves, and as you know, because it's been said, that debt, because of the loan they had to take out in 1835, was only repaid in 2015, and all of you who are taxpayers helped to repay that loan, and they have the audacity to tell us that reparations are not the answer, while they're stealing and looting the resources of Africa and then imposing borders in Africa so that it makes us difficult to even get citizenship. So we want our homeland back, because we don't have a homeland.
Give it up, brothers and sisters.
We want our homeland back. So as the Stop The Maangamizi campaign, we're working on all fronts. We recognise that whilst we're here, and these elected officials claim to represent the people, for those of us that vote or are inclined to vote, they have to work for that vote. And you heard from Sister Marlene about TARRG, the African Reparations vote. And it's because of the power of the African heritage communities organised. Why? Because of an African reparations vote, many elected officials know now that they have to support this cause. And the one thing that everyone is unifying around is the demand for this all-party parliamentary commission. Now, this commission is important because some of us have been working on this a long time. Some of us have been working in silos. But we need to create a mechanism where all of you can have your say. All of you who are working on reparation solutions need to have your say. It cannot be the few reparations organisations deciding for all of you. We all have to decide this together, and you should be able to testify and bear witness and speak about what the solutions are for you, so that we can get a sense of the global magnanimity of this Maangamizi and what we need to do, not only to stop it, but to repair it. So in my closing few sentences, I wanted to share a bit about the challenges that we have had. And that challenge, those challenges include the challenges of building principled operational unity. Because you see, many of our people could have been here today, and we are so thankful that you have turned out. But we should have a lot more. And all kinds of isms and schisms and excuses have been put in the way, including excuses around the role of some of the allies of the Stop The Maangamizi campaign. And let me be very clear. Allies work through and with the the Stop The Maangamizi campaign, not the African Emancipation Day Reparations March Committee. And we respect our people's right to choose and to not want to work with allies. But I need to make it clear, this is about power. And we cannot actually do away with their power unless we contest their power with our growing grassroots power. That's what we're dealing with here. We're not the ones who are the real problem, even though we may harm each other. We're not the Maangamizi criminals, but the people who sit in office in this country. Recognise that. And sometimes the biggest fight that we get is within. And these are the truths that we must speak if we are to truly repair. And don't think this is a secret, because they know it. They see it. And they can do the divide and rule, because we don't stop it. And it's up to us to stop it. I just want to share with you a couple of statistics here. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, well, when you go on the Stop The Maangamizi website, there's hardly any signatures there. You heard our sister talking about the Free Sianda campaign, talking about the 500,000 plus people who had signed that petition. Online, I checked this morning, we have 6,865 signatures for a petition that we initiated as the Stop The Maangamizi petition in 2015, built on the original 1951 Charge Genocide petition lodged by the Civil Rights Congress of the USA, popularised by the National Black United Front in the USA, but we also had a Black United Front UK that was initiated by the Nation of Islam, and at one time I was the Secretary General of that. And we did it under the auspices of the Black United Front. When we had INAP, we took the petition into INAP, and then when there was a discussion about the march in 2014, that's what we took into the march. Altogether, we have about 20,000 signatures, because most of the signatures are hand signatures. But let me share with you the amount of times the petition has been shared on change.org. 4,081 times, okay? But yet only 6,865 have signed it. But let me tell you how many people have viewed the petition but not signed it. 175,830 people have clicked on that petition and have not signed it. Why? Why? It is a disgrace that you bother to look at the petition, but you deny us your signature to basically bolster up our numbers so that we can say our people are on board. So this is what we're talking about. So when you see a few little elected officials and you see a few allies running up and down, don't worry about that, because it was allies, and in particular acknowledging the role of Councillor Scott Ainsley, who's a white man, who came on the march in 2019 and was so impressed, because they don't know about this. This is hidden from them. It's not been reported in a lot of the press, but he was so impressed that he said, okay, we will work with you. What is it you want to see? And we said, this is not about us, this is about our people. And the fairest way we can see this happening is everyone needs a right to be able to give their say on this question of reparations. So it's not, I'm not defending no organisation, although I'm part of many. I'm not defending any one of them, because it's bigger than all of them, and it's bigger than all of us here put together. So I don't know who we're fooling with a little bit of power that we think we have over each other, but we don't have the power power to tackle the very system that is killing us and taking our children, kidnapping our children right here in England, and we do nothing about it. So, brothers and sisters, I have to close because time is running out. But what we have seen in that 2 years, we have seen Lambeth Council, we have seen Islington Council, we saw pass atonement and reparations motion on the basis of the demands of the Stop The Maangamizi campaign. And that empowers not only you to be taking action, but elected officials to support local repair work. And then on the 2nd of March, we had Bristol City Council, all from the Stop The Maangamizi campaign, that 175,000 people, 830 chose to look at and didn't want to sign that petition. So it was because of the input of people who heard us and said, okay, we will take your lead in terms of your people. And that is what everyone is unifying. But the real prize is we must restore and we must actually take back Africa. Right? That is our true prize. And we refer to Africa as Ma'at Ubuntu Man, which is a state based on Ma'at and Ubuntu, not these borders that were put there in 1884, 1885 to continue separating and dividing us. And as an African heritage community for national self-determination, we're not ethnic minorities, we are a nation in the diaspora, but we are oppressed, and just like a Palestinian, we want our homeland back. We want it back, and we want all the resources that all those MPs and those directors of these corporations that are stealing the land, stealing the resources, creating climate and ecological crisis. We need to put in place a new path of alternative progression. And the way is not to follow Europe, my people. The way is to go back to ourselves and return to the source of our own being and the source of our own humanity. And we have to ensure that as the mothers and fathers of human civilization, that we put this planet back into right order again. That is what is needed in terms of the governance and the power that we have to build. And we're going to have to be able to defend it. And we're going to have to be able to defend the land and to defend them, stop them taking the resources. Because the true repair that you're looking to for Europe is what you're going to have to take. They're not going to give it up. We're going to have to take it. But we need to be organised. We have our Forever Family and others. We have the brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam. We have many other formations that are supporting us to build again that discipline that we need. Ashe. Thank you.
Right.